So hey guys, welcome to our very first podcast for OFR. We're basically going to be doing this once a week, if you guys like it, of course. And we're going to be talking about the events and things that have happened throughout the week, the races that have just gone past. For the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about season 4 for Formula One and season 3 for GTS. That's going to be coming up in the next 3 or 4 weeks as well. Today, to start with, you've got me and Havoc. How you doing, Havoc?
Pretty good, Robot. Excited on the podcast. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a work in progress, and it's been for a week or two, but I'm excited it's here. A lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just been like a timing issue. It's so hard to get everyone together since we're all in different time zones, but we've finally done it. And today we've got BJ Robbo, Likala, Racete, Bounty, and Atomic. And I think Ash is going to be joining us for the GTS chat a little bit later on, about halfway through the segment. So to start with, I promised some guys that I'd give them a clue for the OFR treasure hunt. That's been going on for only a few days, but it seems like it's been going on for a few weeks. Now, I did write down the first clue, so let me just find it. I sent it as a message to VR. Here we go. So the first clue is, ask yourself, is a scrambled egg really an encrypted egg, or is it just scrambled? That's the first clue. Another one is super cryptic, I know, but just think about it. Think about it. The second clue will come at the end of the stream, so yeah, make sure you stay tuned and you can try and decode the message. But let's begin with talking with Formula One. So we've got 3 of the Formula One guys, plus me and Havoc, of course, here, and Racete, who's not actually a Formula One driver, but he does take part in the special events. So we've got Likala, Tay, Bounty, and Atomic here. So let's just introduce them one at a time. So we'll go with Likala first because he's the first on our list. Been with us since the very beginning. First guy to reach 1,000 points. First guy to have 100 finishes. Not really. I don't think you can get more of an introduction than that. How you doing, Likala?
Good as always.
Good,
Thank
good.
you.
Are you looking forward to this amazing podcast?
Yeah, yeah. Been
Good.
waiting all day.
Good, good, good. Next up,
Probably not a lot of guys that don't know Likala in the chat. If you're in the Discord, there's not a lot that don't know who Lika is.
I doubt there's a single. Okay, maybe the guy that just joined yesterday. Maybe he's the only one that doesn't know Likala. Likala's the OFR grandpa, so good to have you here, Mr. Resident. Bounty next. How you doing, Bounty?
Very good.
Good. Recent D1 promotion, winner of OFR season 1, Division 2. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Very nice, very nice. You can check out his Hall of Fame record if you go to onlineformularacing.co.uk. And next up, we've also got Atomic, leader of the D1 Championship until last week. Hopefully we can talk about what happened there. How you doing, Atomic?
I'm fine. Yeah, that was a tragic experience.
Absolutely. Can't wait to scrutinise every part of your very short-lived race. But let's begin talking about Formula One. So last week, it was race 7, I believe, last week. So we're almost at the end of the season now. We've just got 3 races to go. We've got Monza, Suzuka, and Silverstone. Australia. To me, since I've ever started playing this game, which was like back in 2010, Australia has always been like my go-to track. It was the first track I played, and every time there's a new Formula One game, Australia's the first track I go to. And I thought that everyone else just did the same thing, like Australia was always their go-to track. But after doing like the special events and practicing with people, everyone seems to hate Australia apart from a select few. And we saw that in the race as well. I think we saw like 8 or something DNFs in D1 and like 6 or 7 in D2. Didn't really expect it to be as hectic as that. But let's start with D1. So, Atomic, you were leading the championship since race 2. You were 5 consecutive races you were leading it. What happened?
Man, I was so happy because, Stinson crashed out, broke his wing. So I was in a party with Izat. He was the best, start I could have hoped for. And then Izat got a drive-through as well. So I was so happy. I pulled the gap to P2. I was, driving. Then I don't know what happened. Maybe I wasn't concentrating enough. I just clipped the grass on the exit. And I went into the wall.
It kind of got handed to you, didn't it, Atomic?
Yeah.
I mean, you were in P3 for a while, and then something happens to Stinson, as you were just saying, and then Izat, and then here we go. The consistent Mr. Atomic this season
that was
hops in the
good.
P1.
I don't know what happened. Maybe I didn't do enough laps. I practiced only that day. I didn't crash like ever in that corner. I was so surprising when I did. Was so confused as well. It wasn't good.
It was-
But yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough. Likula, you didn't have the greatest of races there as well, did you?
No, Australia never been my favorite track, and wasn't any different this weekend either.
So out of all of the races that we've had so far, would you say Australia was the worst of all of them, or was it just an off
It
weekend?
was driving wise, yes, but I think what hurt most was Austria, maybe because that's all my favorite track from every possible track in the game, and that was even more awful since the game had my ERS stuck and DRS stuck in.
You kind of got hit on both spectrums there, Lika, with your favorite track being Austria and something happening there, and then maybe not a favorite track, maybe one of your more not favorited tracks in Australia and something happening there as well. So, what about the teammate situation that's going on right now with Vilsec? Do you think that's doing anything to your racing these days?
I'm nah.
Don't be afraid. Don't be
Maybe,
afraid.
Maybe
Speak up.
time to time it gets a little boring, practice all alone, but it's he's ready for next season, so no worries.
That's good. So I think so. Vilsec came at the start of the season, didn't he? In Austria, and then he raced again in Hanoi, if I'm not mistaken. But the other 5 races has been absent, and obviously this is just due to him with some of the commitments he's been moving house and stuff. I'm not sure if he's racing this weekend. It would be nice to see him there again. But yeah, it must have been quite a difficult season for you, basically one manning it the entire time. Do you know who you're looking for a teammate next season? Is that too early to say, or is it going to be Vilsec again?
Nah, it most likely will be Vilsec again. It's have a good connection and.
Fair enough. Now, as we said previously, Atomic was leading by about 4 points, I think, up until he crashed out. And then something dramatic happened at the end of the race. And I think we saw Liv take the win pretty much in the last corner. Now, a lot of people had penalties. That's kind of made the result what it was. But let's talk about that Stinson and Iza issue. Bounty, give me a perspective on this. What happened?
Well, I think Stinson just made a big mistake into going into the penultimate corner, I think.
Was it a
He was
mistake, or was it just he was being a bit too greedy? I don't know.
I think a bit of both.
It was. I can't believe it. So for those who didn't see it, I think it was turn 15. Izat was leading, but Stinson had. I think Stinson had 12 seconds worth of penalties, but he wanted.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean he's a racer, and he always wants to do it on track, no matter what penalties he has. So of course he went for the overtake, but apparently there was something going on with Izat lagging around on track, still waiting for the footage. But he wiped him out. Scotty comes around the corner, takes the lead, and then Liv somehow wins because of the penalties. That was insane.
Yeah, and Stinson didn't get reported as well, which is really funny because he stole the win. Or yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit of an interesting one. But him and Izat are always in parties together. I doubt it would have been kind of like a friendly thing for Izat to report it. So I think they're just Stinson owes him one, I suppose, in the future. So maybe he might give up a win later on. We don't know. But the driver standings right now, 90 points for Izat and Scotty in P1 and P2. Atomic just 5 points behind on 85 points, and Liv on 84 points. We've never had a title fight so close, especially after race 7 out of 10. That's insane.
Never. And I think we've been hitting on that the past couple weeks during the live streams. Just it's been so close, and it's not just the veteran guys that are doing it up there. We've got some newcomers that are coming into D1 that are trying to show their place, and they're putting a lot of work in, and it's showing because you're right. We've never seen the championship this close. It's usually a runaway, like AJ's championship, he ran away with it. Izat's championship, he ran away with it. But this season, totally different ball game. It's anybody's race. We still have 2 races left. I mean,
So
Well, 3 counting this weekend. But what do you? I mean, you can't put your money on any one robot.
yeah, and this is the thing that kind of confuses me. So I'm trying to work out why this is, because last season in D1 we still had no assist, and it still wasn't as close as this. So it could be the fact that it's a new game and everyone's kind of on a level playing field. But what else could it be? Like, how comes this season everything is just so close? I don't get it.
I really don't know. We did have some stuff with the reserves coming in, which has been solved. I don't know how much of an impact it really had on the rest of the driving. To me, it seems like there have been a lot of distractions, maybe a lot of not so clean racing. I don't want to call it dirty racing. I want to say it's been more competitive this year or this season. And that's where some of these accidents are coming from, is the competitiveness from a lot of the drivers, and it's coming up. And the ones that stay clean, it's the consistent ones. Yeah, Scotty last season basically won the team championship on consistency. Atomic is taking a back seat and not trying to push the fact as much during the race. His consistency has gotten him up there. Ezat, we know, has got consistency, and then Liv is a new story. Liv is one of those drivers that's just come in, but he's showing that he has that consistency. And I think that word this season is going to mean a lot to whoever, ends up in first, is consistency. Who can stay consistent the longest?
Yeah, so Scotty, I think, is the only driver who's currently leading the championship tied with Iza. I'm not sure actually who's first because I haven't coded that properly yet, but Scott is the only one who's finished in the points every single race. Izat's had a DNF, Atomic's had a DNF, so those two are quite equal on DNFs, and then Liv has actually missed 2 races because of some of the commitments, and that's the top 4. Stinson, who I thought definitely was going to be one of the ones to just run away with it, has also missed 2 races too, so he's, I think the highest he's finished is actually P2 with the fastest lap in Zandvoort, and since then he's finished P3 and below. So he's not having the best of seasons as well, where you would expect Stinson normally to shine. So, question for Atomic that someone sent me previous to this stream starting is, who is your closest competitor? So who do you, I suppose, like to battle close on track, and who do you think is going to be able to take the championship away from you if you don't win it?
Man, it has to be Izzat, honestly speaking. He's quicker than me, I'm gonna admit that. But I think like he chokes a bit because he throws way too much. He takes it too much on the funny side, and he's not always focused. But yeah, I would say Izzat. Honestly speaking, Scotty has been very consistent, but I still think still I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm a little bit quicker raw pace wise compared to him. But while compared to Izzat, I'm nowhere close. So I just have to hope he makes mistakes again, because if not, I think he will have it.
Fair enough, fair enough. And question for Lika was, who do you think the fastest D1 driver is lap for lap? So we're not just talking about TT pace, but who do you think's fastest in a race lap for lap?
Must be, if they are putting full focus, 100% focus, it must be Izzat or Stinson. If they give it time, practice, and focus on that race weekend, then it's one of those 2. But of course, Atomic been surprising this season, so he's really close to these guys.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. Now, let's move on to D2. Bounty, I'm going to have a few words from you first, if that's okay. Recently, you decided to switch with your teammate VR, creator of the website. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Why was that switch done?
Well, VR joined as a reserve for Hanoi, and well, in his first race in D1, he got a podium. So team-wise, point-wise, and for the together team standings, it was better to just switch us around.
Fair enough. And how are you finding it in D2 at the moment? You should have done, is it 2 races there now, or 1?
One
race.
Only did Australia. But I liked it very much. I had a very good battle with Cam. Then fell back a bit through the safety car. But yeah, it was
What about
good
the
race, clean
pace
race.
difference? How about the pace difference there, Super Bounty? I mean,
I have to
what
say
is it like for a D1 driver to go to D2?
The race difference is huge. The pace difference is huge. Because in D1, I was driving at the back, fighting for the last points in the field, and now I'm fighting at the front, fighting for podiums. So yeah, I think the difference on pace is very big,
Hmm. And
especially when you see the top guys in D1. They're much faster than the top guys in D2.
yeah,
Right.
that's fair enough. So this was the first race. I'm not trying to put myself in the spotlight here. I'm not being biased, guys. Let me just make that clear. But this was the first race where Amir didn't win. So Australia, he won without fastest lap. Austria, sorry, he won without fastest lap. Netherlands won without fastest lap. Spa, 26 points for the fastest lap. Every race up until Australia, he had won. And Australia was the first race where he actually got a handful of penalties towards the end of the race too. Now again, going into this, I again thought that this was just going to be an easy win for him because he's so good at the more technical tracks. He's incredibly fast at the faster tracks like Monza and stuff like that. I thought Australia would be a walk in the park for him. But some carefully timed safety cars and placements of teammates made it made him have a really tough time. He went off track trying to overtake people. He went into the back of people under the safety car. He was getting a bit impatient, and unfortunately, I think he lost the win. So that was a big surprise. Now, putting Amir aside, VR's obviously moved as well, so that's kind of taken out the battle for the top three. But who do you guys think is going to finish in that P3 or P2 spot come the end of the season in D2? Because there is a lot of talent in there, a lot of fast guys. Like Larvsesh, we know he's quick, he uses 0 assists, he's super fast. Random Sirius is also fast, but just needs to work on his race pace. Like, who else do you think could finish in that top three?
I think Cam has a very big
I
chance
agree.
of-
Cam? Yeah, so he's currently
Yeah.
P3 with 65, so he has got a little bit of a lead, 18-point lead on VR, who's left us, unfortunately. But do you think anyone below him could come and fight him towards the end of the season?
I think Proctor's very good on race pace.
Yeah.
There's a lot of overtakes in the race, and yeah, he always manages to finish.
Yeah, he does. I mean, yesterday we did a special event with him, and he was super quick around there as well at Monza. He set like a 1:19, I think, in qualifying, which is a pretty decent D2 time. If you can do something like that tomorrow for the Monza race, he should be able to finish top 3, I think.
Yeah, we gotta be afraid of him.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, let's not take the spotlight off of Robot, though. I mean, those are some serious finishes this season, Robot. I mean, I'm looking at the season tracker now. It's a 12, 12, 18, 18, 18, 18, 25. That's,
There are
I mean,
5
for
consecutive
you,
podiums.
right. I mean, for you to be putting in finishes like that consecutively over all those races. I mean, what are you doing different maybe this season as opposed to last season that's getting you up there?
So, to be honest, I don't think I've done that much things different. I think it's just that. So since F1, I started playing 2009, 2010, something like that. I've used no assists, and this is the first season where I've been fighting with people who are also using no assists. So I just think that I maybe am just a bit more consistent because I'm used to the no assists. There is no doubt that penalty points, not penalty points, sorry, time second penalties that have been given throughout the race have helped me out a lot. So some races, I've actually finished in P5 on track, but I've jumped up to P2 or P3 because other people have penalties. I think this game too, F1 2020's cars are a lot easier to drive. I feel a lot more comfortable in them. One thing that I did last week that made me get a lot more feel out of the car, I've been running 360 rotation on my G29 wheel for the entire season, the whole of last season too. This last week, last week I dropped it down to like 270 or 280, and not having to like full lock the wheel to be able to get around a sharp corner is a big advantage. And I feel like I can just pull away and get a bit more twitchiness out of the steering wheel. I just feel like I'm in control of the car a lot more, and I think that's helped a lot.
I think that's the sweet spot. Yeah, like I think a lot of guys are on about around 270. I don't know. You guys can kind of answer.
I got it at 360.
It's a difference
I mean,
between
do you do
open
that
wheel.
for more sensitivity, or so? I don't. I mean, I don't know if we want to
I've
get
done
into
it
this,
because
but
I like it.
Uh,
Just-
okay.
I like the rotation on the wheel.
So
I like 270 as well. The less, you get a little bit more turning, and I think Lika actually shared this with me was you get a little bit more sensitivity out of the wheel on a lower setting, and I don't know, it's comfortable to me, and I think that's what it is it's just comfortable.
So the thing I find is that so I've got the G29 wheel in its standard form. So I've got this big circle of a wheel to turn around, and I just feel like when I'm turning, if I go more than like 90 degrees, I'm starting to struggle to press the pedals whilst I'm turning a corner. But with the wheels that are a bit smaller and more like narrower height wise, I don't know, but what I can see is that it's easier to do full lock and still have control of the gear shifts, you know? And
Right.
I think it might have something to do with that, but only having used a round wheel my entire 6 months or whatever since I got the wheel, I can't really comment. But of course, Leaker's one who's used both, so maybe he could comment on this.
I was doing 180 a long time, like couple of seasons with a round wheel like yours, and never was able to get used to 360. But after when I got an open wheel, much smaller one, 360 was so much easier, and more you have to do wheel rotation, more like accurate you can be in cornering, and you don't need to do little movements. It doesn't affect on the car too much.
I hear you. So I think we should move on to D3 now. I just want to quickly give a quick shout out to Amir. He is D2 driver, like we said, won every single race apart from one. Out of everyone that I've raced in all my OFR seasons, he is definitely most challenging, most experienced, and I've actually learned a lot from him, like chasing him down after he plays mind games with me the entire race and just lifts until the last lap and overtakes me every time. He's definitely taught me a few things, which is really nice, and it's just great to have that level of wheel-to-wheel racing. Now, if we go to D3, because we're about 5 minutes over already, let's just try and do this quickly. Now, the thing about D3, they're still allowed to use medium traction and racing line through corners, but there are a lot of guys in D3 who have pace for mid to top D2 and even mid to top D1 as well. I'm just looking through the season tracking now, and I'm just seeing some of the times and things that these guys have done. But let's just focus on like J-Boy, for example. He is so fast. He qualifies high. He sets comparable D1 times in their quali. He's super consistent throughout the races, and he's currently leading the championship with 95 points. Like, who else in D3 do you guys think has the potential to get a big promotion next season and go into like D1, for example?
J-Boy been saying all the time that he would his dream is to be in D1 racer, and he's also non-assist driver, so sure him and Shin, when he's been there, he's always got the fastest lap on the race and 2 wins from 3 races.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Jedi been improving a lot. There, Osher, of course, the new driver, been racing in 1 race and got a win with the fastest laps. There's a bunch of guys who would do well in lower division.
And anyone in D3 that you can spot that's like started off a bit slower but has got really fast towards the end of the season, that's had a lot of development?
Astro, I think.
Oh yeah.
Astro, I think, has actually just started playing the game this season.
Yeah, this is his first one.
I don't think he's had any experience before this, and the guy is now he's coming into the points. It's been a big learning curve. He's one of those guys. He was in the GTS realm, and he's trying to switch over. And I think Tay is wanting to do the same thing as well, and we'll get into that when we get to GTS. But yeah, he's just come over to F1. He's embraced it. He likes it. He likes the way the cars feel. He likes the game, and he's finishing. You can look at the season tracker. He's actually gaining more points as the weeks go on. So I think that's going to be my most improved this season is Astro.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. So we'll quickly just have a brief chat about D4 before we move on. D4 is this new division that we've had, which we like to call the American League. So it races late on Sunday nights for those people who have different time schedules than most of the European guys. It's been a really interesting season there. So Lika, first of all, is currently leading by a whopping 38 or 37 points. He's on 102 points. Stinson's on 65 behind him.
Yeah.
He's so podium every single race. Two second places for the first 2 races, 2 wins after that, and then the 3rd place in Australia. What's going on with this consistency, Lika?
I think it's just a pressure thing. In D1, I'm always panicking a lot, and because that's the place where I wanna do, where I wanna get my best results.
Hmm.
So I think D4 being a more chill place for me. I don't need to think about it too much. Of course, I already have a race under my belt. I know how the track works strategy-wise, and
Maybe something to take in the D1 league. It just, I don't know. I mean, I think everybody here that's on the podcast right now is doing D4. Apart from Atomic, maybe I think it gets a little too late, but
Yeah,
we have a really good time during the D4 races. It's kind of a more laid back. We're all having fun. We're all on a party chat.
Yeah.
It's a very laid back, very fun time for all the guys that have been here for a while, and we just get to go around the track and let loose on each other.
Hmm. And last week, so Cam's the division manager there. He was originally in this F1 International Racing or International League, I forget what it's called, and he brought over a lot of these guys. And he actually got his first win last week. He was battling Pingu towards the end of the race, but a penalty from Pingu meant that he lost another race due to a time second penalty. And Cam won, and that was a really great time for OFR to see one of the division managers fight all the way through the field and come out and win the race. So yeah, well done Cam for that. It was very nice to see. Now, going to quickly move on to next week now. So we've got Monza. Oh, sorry, this week. We've got Monza that starts tomorrow. Racer Tay, you have been racing a few special events there and doing lots and lots of 5-lappers there throughout this week. Could you tell us a bit about the track and where you expect all the drama to happen?
Turn 1. It's designed for chaos, I feel like. Unless you're using the motorbike layout, which cuts a bit across the chicane. Battles can continue up to De La Rogier after turn 1, which will most likely decide the position going into Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. For the boldest among you, Ascari is going to be someone to do it. And of course, you'll have some cheeky people backing off just before Parabolica to get the detection point onto the DRS zone to the main straight. But yeah, it should be an interesting race to see if there's going to be some good overtakes going on.
Are you going to be racing with us, or have you got other races to do this weekend?
Interestingly, I've got another GT race. I've got a Gran Turismo race outside of this league at Monza.
Oh.
I'm driving an Italian car in that, so you can't abandon that. You can't abandon that.
Fair enough.
No.
What's the tyre strategy for a 50% race around there? It's just for the guys that are watching to get some info for tomorrow.
Can I be honest with you? I've not done a 50% race. We did a 50% race with intermediate tyres. That's the only 50% one I've done. And it'll be a stop on the intermediates. I can tell you that. But no, sorry, I've not actually done any 50%. I've just been doing 25.
That's all right. Atomic, have you been practicing yet, or are you practicing tomorrow morning again?
I done like 10 time trial laps this afternoon.
What times are you putting in?
I think I did 18.5, but there's room for improvement.
That's not a bad time.
That's a decent time.
I've not tried the race or actually lobbies yet, but if I remember correctly, it's soft mediums. At least last year it was. So
yeah.
I think you're right. I think Lika was saying something like that earlier. Was a soft medium setup.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been saying as well that the undercut is super powerful around here.
Oh, good to know.
So what? I mean, how long are these soft tires going to last, and when is the opportunity to perform an undercut on a guy ahead of you?
I don't think you should pit before lap 8. That's for sure. You need to make sure that the mediums last till the end, and a lot of dirty air, and you want to be close to guy in front of you to get that DRS lap by lap. And I think pit window opens to from lap 8 to 11. That's the window when you wanna pit in to medium tires.
So you guys have been doing special events. Yeah, and also safety cars and how that changes the strategy immensely. But with all the special events that you guys have been doing this week, the tire strategy, I mean, is it something, I'm not sure, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I was trying to get onto the tire strategy. But the DRS train, is the DRS train at Monza as strong as it was in 2019, because if you remember, if you
yeah.
fell off, you were almost decidedly done in that race if you fell off the DRS train. So is it still just as strong?
So I was actually racing behind a few guys yesterday in the special event, and I think it was VR. So whilst me and VR were within, I think it was like 6/10 as we're coming up to the Parabolica, the DRS super powerful, we were overtaking each other. I made one Leclerc mistake coming out of the Parabolica, and I lost it. And the last 3 laps of the race, he managed to pull away 1.8 seconds, so he was gaining 6/10 a lap once I got out of the DRS. And I couldn't do anything. I was trying to brake later. I had 1 lap fresher tyres than him. I was doing everything that I could, like taking it easy through Ascari, working on the exit rather than the entry, and I just couldn't do anything. And I think that's going to be a big deal tomorrow, as you said. And I think it is just as powerful as it was in 2019. If you lose it, you're done. It's over.
Yeah. What about dirty air, Lika? I mean, is it an issue to pass at Monza, or is the dirty air that we've been seeing issues with in 2020, is it an issue here at Monza?
No, I still think that following is a little bit easier here, and overtaking also. If the guy in front doesn't have DRS, it will be easy overtake. But if you're last guy on the train, then there is actually nothing you can do, and you need to be careful with the DRS usage also.
Yeah. So finally, on the Monza chat, we have had some major issues about Turn 1 for the last 3 or 4 races. We even resorted to drawing track maps and pictures to show people how to do Turn 1 in Australia, and it seemed to work for the most of it. Now, at Turn 1 Monza, you can actually go 3 wide. We've seen it in real F1, we've seen it in OFR Season 1, Season 2 as well. But do you think that if someone tries this tomorrow, we're going to see a safety car on the first lap?
Yes,
absolutely. The way that F1 D1 has been going this season, absolutely. And I want to get into Lika and Atomic's head, Atomic especially, because that's Mr. Consistency sitting over there. What do you do, Atomic? I mean, let's say you qualify P3. And you've got all these guys around you. What do you do going down into turn 1? Do you lift? Do you power through? What are you looking to do?
No, man. I got damaged like 3 times lap 1. I don't want it anymore. Please, God, save me. I don't want anything to do with anyone in turn 1. I mean, just give up 3 places if I have to.
Good. So we've had a bit of a volume issue, guys, but I think I've solved it now. I've turned you all back up, so we should be okay. Now, let's go on to GTS. So... we've got Race Tay, we've got BJ Robbo here, and we've got Ash Wilson. We'll start in Division 1, and last week for the second time actually over the 2 seasons that we have at GTS, we saw Ash in a position 1 slot fighting for the win for the most part of the race. So Ash, could you just quickly take us through that race that you had and how you felt in the car, and give us a little bit of inside info about your setup if you can?
I don't really want to give too much away in case there's any spies out there, which I suspect there will be.
Don't worry about that, man. Let yourself go.
Sure, Ted's getting his pad out already.
No, well, last week I had a little bit of guidance from Shane. I raced in a friendly league on a Friday night, which Shane happens to be a part of, and he gave me the setup for the Lexus, and just for some reason round Big Willow just clicked. Wow. I was confident from minute 1 of getting in the car. And
just for listeners that don't know, Shane is he was actually leading. That would have been Tay's kind of challenge this season. Although Ash with the stuff that he's gotten from Shane, Ash looked very good, but I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, of course. No, don't worry about it. It's all good. So
there was another race last season where you were battling. Were you battling Shane towards the end of the race, or was it Bruma? I can't quite remember. It was in Tokyo.
Yeah, it was Shane. But what you've got to understand about Tokyo is that it's a tight track, and Shane did very, very well to battle his way to the front. and really I just couldn't keep him behind. I didn't have the car set up that he did. But last Sunday I just had it. I just felt like, and I don't mean I disrespect Racer Tay here, but literally I was out of any medium to fast speed corners. I was closing in on him quite a lot.
Very nice.
And yeah, it was a very, very, very good scrap between them. Even the sight off, which even now I say was a racing incident. You know what I mean? And that to me, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just two competitive people going into turn one. There's always going to be a little bit of bodywork being exchanged, which happens.
Yeah.
So I would agree with that.
Yeah, let's bring Racer Tay into this conversation then. So Tay, were you expecting to be battling Ash from when you started the race, and how was the wheel to wheel racing that happened between you two, following for so long on the track as well? How was it?
You're very handsome too, thank you. No, to your first question, that was a surprise to me as well. So that came out of nowhere. It was fun. It's nice to have racing. Willow's a relatively wide track, so it's a fair bit of berth for some good hard racing. And I found it fun, even if I still kind of give myself a little bit of flack for just letting the rear end drift out and tapping Ash, which is I think what really caused that little incident. But nah, it was enjoyable.
Good. So
that brings up.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, just to go back on the rear coming out again, Tay, I think we spotted a few things during the stream. You had tons of front tire wear as opposed to all the other drivers. Is that something that you have every week, or is that something that we just picked up on?
Yeah, no, you just missed it completely.
So
it sounds like I'm being funny, but it's just a genuine thing. My tire wear is always 10-50% off of Phil and Nika.
So the first time I spotted it was, I think it was the rain in Spa. No, Spa, because you were like sliding around every single corner, and it looked.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it looked like you were just having so much fun so far out ahead.
I was.
But then from the next races, I mean, you won the next two races after that. You came second in Austria, and then won the next two races again. But that's when we started to like look at your tire wear, and it was like 30% more than other drivers in the same position as you on track.
Well, I'd blame it on the setup, but everyone else has the same in the team, so we can't do that.
That was the other thing I was going to ask. Is that a setup thing, or is that just a driver-based thing where
not.
The way you drive the car is the way it happens?
Being honest, like, I'd expect more wear on my rears, considering I love cars that slide out to the rear more than cars that go to the front, but obviously the AMG has most of its weight to the front. As much as you try and balance that and reshuffle it, there's nothing that's going to deny that the engine's in the front, and that's where the weight is. So I think I'm just getting the front end a bit too heavily or a bit too violently.
I think. Sorry for jumping in. I think from the battling that we had on Sunday, what I did notice is I felt like I could get the power down the Lexus a lot quicker than you could out of some of the corners on Sunday, especially.
We were running quite high gearing at that point, so our first and second was a little bit shorter. Oh, sorry, a bit longer. My bad.
I see. So
that's another thing for the viewers. Like when you get into the GTS setup, as opposed to the F1 setup, where at OFR we've got both divisions. Well, not only that, but there's so many more aspects to the setup in Gran Turismo than there are in F1, and there's so many different things that you can do to get the car to do what you want it to do, which is very hard for a new driver coming into the game. But once you're into it and you become one and you know what the setup's going to do, you can really make that car, no matter what car it is, do whatever you want it to do. I mean, Tay, you've got experience in this. You've been in almost every one of those Group 3 cars. Is that the case? I mean, can you take a setup and basically plug it into a car and make it do what you want it to do?
No. Every car has these little unique traits. Like, for example, you're not going to have the same rear step-up the Ferrari has in something like the M3 or the M6. There's different elements of shifting weight and shifting where the power goes and shifting where the brake bias goes, especially. That's a big part of Gran Turismo. So, yeah, if I was to take a setup from the 458 to the M6, like I was saying earlier, I'd probably say I was going to be about a second slower than the 458 with the M6 setup on.
Fair enough.
If I can jump in, I would like to say that with my experience racing GTS and actually trying setups made from people who actually play mostly this game, setup makes a huge difference. Actually, very, very
bit
big.
unrealistic, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, such a big difference. I think you can actually gain up to a second with a better setup and like.
It's funny
really,
because
yeah.
me and BJ Rubber 28, was it about 2 years ago, Ben, that we were in British tuning cars?
Oh yeah, something like that.
I think that's the only experience we've both had with tuning. It was 2 years ago.
Far away, far it was, yeah.
Yeah, in that time, so many things change with the game, so many different balances of the power, that, to be honest, I have no idea how to tune. So a lot of it, it's just entirely chance. Like, a lot of it during the season has just been trying different things, trying different completely random things that should not work but end up doing so.
I mean, I've been using the same setup for the last few races with a couple of tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
So, BJ, was it your first race where you were reserving in D1 this season?
First D1 race, yeah.
First D1, and you finished P9 as well, so you even managed to snag 2 points from the other D1 drivers who finished below you, so good job. How does it compare, racing against the D1 drivers, compared to D2?
Well, everyone's much faster in D1, as you probably expect, but no, it was good. I had some good battles earlier. I mean, I went into it just hoping to get the top 10, and that's what I did.
Yeah. And then compared to the D2 race, were there any like battles that you had in the D1 race that were comparable to the guys in D2, or were you racing a lonely race, or what?
For most of the D2 race, I was just focusing on staying on the track, because with it being Willow Springs, it's very easy to go off, and I gained a lot of positions from just staying on the track, and everyone was going off around me. So
yeah, and you finished P3 in the D2 race after one of the drivers, Balboy. Was it Balboy? Yeah, it was Balboy who got a whopping 8-place grid penalty. That pushed you back up onto the podium as well. Which was, again, another interesting thing. And that means that you've actually closed down the gap to Tom ahead of you as well in the driver's standing. So
yes,
you're on 73, Tom's on 78, and the infamous AJ, who's still in D2 for some reason unknown, is on 111 points. But do you think you're going to be able to take that P2 from Tom in the end?
I don't know, Tom's a very quick driver on his day. I mean, I think he was spun on the first corner.
I believe he was, yeah.
I think when he's on his day and he can get through the first lap carnage, because it always seems to happen in D2. Wherever we are, there's always something happening on the first lap. And he can get through that. He's usually right up there fighting for the top 3.
Yeah, he is. He's a very fast driver. And Havoc, you pretty much race him every single GTS race that you're in, because you're both so similarly paced. And that holds for D2 F1 as well. How's your experience been with Tom?
Tom's one of those guys. He's very competitive. I would say with my experience with Tom is the only guy that I can go wheel to wheel with and not worry about being punted or any dirty driving. Well, I mean, as far as similar pace, Tay, I mean, I would never be wheel to wheel with you. I mean, you'd be a light year away.
I am when I'm lapped. I am wheel to wheel with him when I'm lapped.
Yeah, when being lapped and wheel to wheel, yeah. But Tom's very aggressive. I mean, it's not so aggressive that it's almost annoying, but it's aggressive where it makes you have to drive better. You've got to be on your game when you're racing Tom, because he will take advantage of every mistake you make. BJ's kind of the same thing. I've always seen BJ around, And if you make a mistake, he's gonna take advantage of it. So they're both kind of comparable on the GTS side. Tom, I've got more experience on the F1 side. Tom is a very clean driver if the other driver is clean. So I like racing Tom. Tom's one of my favorite guys to race in both leagues. So I'm rooting for him either way, and I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen. Hopefully he comes out, in P2. No offense to BJ.
I think Tom just had one of them races on Sunday. He had a little bit of an incident at turn 2, and he never quite fully recovered from it. And from the D2 races that I've commentated on this season, he seems to have been very, very unlucky to have been caught in the majority of incidences. Otherwise, I think it might have been a bit closer with AJ, if I'm being honest with him and Tom. But he's just been very unlucky to be caught in one or two incidents throughout the year so far.
Fair enough. So the D2 Driver Championship is still alive. We've got a big battle going on for P3 with Doc Coop on 50 points, and then all the way down to, let's say, P8, Othed River, 28 points. Big battle going on there. P2 still alive with BJ and Tom, and it does look like if AJ races this weekend, he could run away with the championship if he gets another win. But let's quickly jump onto the Classic Cup, because this is a new one. We've done 2 races already. We've raced in the Jaguar, we've raced in the Pontiac. Ash and I commentated in that Pontiac race. It was very good to watch. Racer once again, winning every race, fastest lap. Is there any car that you are not comfortable in? That's the first question.
Formula 2.
Samba Bus.
Just the Samba Bus. It's really fantastic to see. I don't know how you do it, Racer. I really don't.
I was saying this earlier, that it's like the one skill that I'll ever acknowledge that I believe I have is that I can be a jack of all trades. That I can adapt to something easily. And the Classic Cup suits, because within the series I think there's a good few varieties of drivetrains and engines that you have to adapt to, and there's a lot of intricacies, like I was saying, to each different car in that series. So
How long have you been playing GTS, Tay?
Since it released October 2017. Extending beyond that, my first Gran Turismo game was Gran Turismo 4, which I started playing on the PS2 in 2007. I think I was like 4 or 5.
Wow.
And does that experience come into it? I mean, does that...
Oh, 100%.
Does that help you? I mean, like, tons, just on top of everything from start to finish.
The games change from, iteration to iteration, and this game feels completely different if you go back to Gran Turismo 4. But just knowing the game, knowing its intricacies, yeah, it helps 100%.
That's interesting. So, in 2 days' time, we're going to be racing at Alsace Village, is that right?
Alsace.
Alsace. Oh, there you go. Ash, you've been lying to me this whole time. It's Alsace.
I say Alsace. I've been having this row with Mick all week.
How does he say
it's a 50-50.
He says exactly the same as Racer Tape, but I personally think it's Alsace, personally speaking.
Well, I think me and Tay actually looked it up last Sunday, or a couple days ago, and he said it was pronounced Alsace.
I'm judging by the name of Alsace that it's meant to be in like the region of Alsace-Lorraine in France.
Wow.
I didn't think
Call
this would
it
be
what you
predicted
will.
during the podcast.
Yeah, call it what you will. I had a drive around there with Tay a couple days ago.
Castle in chat is 100% right. Gran Turismo 4 is one of the best games I've ever played. Sorry to have gone there.
Throw them in there. Throw the listeners in. The track is very intricate. It's not a very laid back track. A lot of camber, a lot of downhill stuff, a lot of technical turns. Right. So what do you think is going to come out of it? I mean, is it one of those tracks that you enjoy? Is it something that you hate?
I mean, it's really a nothing track. It's not been in any of the previous Gran Turismo games. It's barely used in competitive racing I've experienced, rather in official FIA or unofficial league racing. I barely get to race around there. It's only occasionally if I do different lobby hopping in just random races. So it's a track I'm familiar with, but it's a track that not a lot of people will be totally 100% on it. It's definitely not a track that some people can call their best because it's just so obscure and kind of not really highlighted.
I think the thing is with the track as well, there's not really a place where you can have a break on it almost. It's almost like one corner leads into another. You're more or less at work for the entire lap because literally one fast corner leads into another and then leads into a medium corner and a slow corner. It's every single corner is a challenge without a shadow of doubt.
Right. Well, how are you guys getting on, Ash? I mean, are you guys getting on pretty good around there with practice and BJ as well? I mean, are you guys at Corvo getting around pretty good for practice this week?
I've not been in the grass too much, so it's always a positive sign.
Yeah, that's one good thing.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think I've done a combined 2 laps of practice this week, so first one I did wasn't a very good lap, the second one I binned it in a wall, and so I kind of gave up after that. So I should probably actually do some practice.
I've had 2 race runs around there so far, just on my own, and I've had a couple of laps with the now infamous Dr. Co-op. The other day as well, and he actually found something I was doing wrong with the gearing on the Lexus. As soon as I've done that, I've gone a little bit quicker. So actually, I feel confident, but I'm not sure where I'll be until I see everybody else's pace. But then again, I think that's the same for everybody, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think so look out, Tay.
Yeah, he's coming for you. Right, guys. So, so for everyone who's watching, if you have any questions that you want to ask us, just put them in the chat now. I'm just going to quickly give you guys an overview of what's going on next season, but there'll be more info on next season in the following weeks. So we are on race 7 out of 10. We've got race 8 coming up tomorrow and Sunday for both F1 and GTS. Next season, we're looking at only 2 non-assisted divisions in Formula 1. So Division 1's going to have essentially no assist. They're not allowed to use racing line, traction control, anything. Division 2 is going to be almost there with just the racing line in the corners allowed. We're still going to have a Division 3, but that's going to be essentially what is now the Division 4. So it's for those late night American time zone races, Sunday night at 10 UTC. And I think other than that, the rest of it's going to stay roughly the same for F1. So we're still going to have those 50% races, those 18-minute qualies. May or may not have that cross-team division thing that's going on this season. We'll have to wait to see what you guys think about that. In GTS, however, we are switching things up a little bit. Again, it's not final yet, but right now we're looking at 2 separate divisions with 2 different car classes. So the first, in no particular order, we'll have the Group 3 cars that we've seen already this season and last season, and we're going to be moving up to the Group 2 cars in the other division, which is going to hopefully bring... Yeah, it's going to hopefully bring a new dynamic to it. A lot of people have been asking for Group 2 cars or Group 1 or Super Formula and so on. And we are looking to host some endurance races and Super Formula races throughout the week instead of the Classic Cup, because of course the Classic Cup only has 2 races left as well. So, Stinson, okay, Castle's asked, can I join the podcast? Yeah, yes, Castle. It's coming to an end now, but you're definitely there next week if you want to join.
You were getting heckled by Stinson for a good 5 minutes asking how you like your eggs, so...
Oh. Stinson.
Oh, Craigie just reminds me of Wednesday.
Oh yeah, sorry about asking you that on the spot. I hope it wasn't too sexual.
To be honest with you, if you
get the stream demonetized.
To be fair, if you hang around with the likes of Mick and Astro, then really that's nothing. So I wouldn't worry. It's all good.
Yeah, Osh is asking if the racing line in D2 is final. It's basically there, Osher, but we still haven't confirmed it yet, so you're just going to have to stay tuned over the next few weeks to see. In response to Stinson's question, I'll respond with another riddle. So this is part 2 of the riddle, which should hopefully give it away. And the clue is, once you figure out what the actual text is, you really only have to unscramble half of it. And that's all I'll say. I'm not giving you any more clues. You should be able to get it by now. So the first clue was, is a scrambled egg really an encrypted egg? Because a lot of you are going down this encryption path. And my response is, or is it really just a muddled up egg? And the second clue is, once you figure out what it is, you only really have to unscramble half of it. The first part will essentially be given to you. And that's the clues done. So we've got some other questions I'm just reading. Osher's asked his, Stinson's asked his. I think that's it. So do you guys have anything else you want to say?
I think what I was going to say is just on the back of the changes that are coming, it's a good thing. I mean, like I've said to Bagpuss, what have you, in the past. Like, all the members are properly listened to, in terms of having cars decided and what divisions, and I can only see it improving more and more.
Your mic, is your mic breaking up for everyone else, or is it just me?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe not.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, your mic's playing a bit of games on us. Maybe just unplug and plug it back in.
It's not unplugged. It's Bluetooth. That's why.
Oh, fair enough. Could you just repeat what you said? Thanks. I didn't quite catch the last bit.
No, that's fine. What I was saying is that it's nice to be in a league where there's where all the drivers are considered, and it's actually a refreshing thing. Because I've raced in leagues in the past where it's been a bit of a clicky league, and that's not been a good thing. And having stuff like this, it's actually nice. It's actually fun, because then you get to hear what people think, not just on Discord chat or anything, but you get to hear people's opinions by voice as well. So it's probably a good thing in that regard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do try desperately hard to listen to everyone. Believe it or not, the admins do go through all of the suggestions in the suggestion box, and we do discuss them in quite some detail. Some of them are it's just like a time issue, and it's kind of sad that we don't get to do them, because a lot of them are great ideas, but a lot of them we do get to. For example, the podcast was one of the suggestions, and we're doing that right now. We definitely want as much input from all of our drivers as possible to make it as good a league as they want out of it. Havoc, were you going to say something, or?
No, what Ash was saying, OFR has just been one of those leagues for me personally that I don't know if I would have become a better driver in another league. If there's anybody that listens to the podcast this week doesn't have a league and they want to come into a league, OFR is definitely one of those leagues that you want to look at, because it's a community. It definitely is a community where all the drivers are helping each other out. There's always help around the corner. You're not going to get shut out like other leagues. I actually have been in other leagues, and a lot of the guys have, where you will show up and basically just do the race, and that's all there is to that league. So I am hugely grateful to this league that it's got so much going on, and there's so much help available to each driver. That they can grow, and they can all grow as a community.
Yeah, one of the things that I think makes this league unique is like almost every driver is so active in Discord. I've never seen a league where everyone knows everyone, like almost personally. It almost seems like we've like known each other for years, but everyone's just so like comfortable with everyone else, and there's not like a single day where someone's not doing something stupid in Discord, or we're not doing practice races every single day. It's crazy. I've not experienced this.
It's a very unique thing. It's a very unique thing for the practice sessions, because I've been a part of multiple leagues where practice sessions don't exist. It's not something that happens in other leagues where you can actually go out, see what the other guys are doing, get some help from the other guys. It's not. It doesn't exist, but in OFR it does. I mean, there's always at least 3 or 4 guys that will go out with you and do a practice session, no matter what time it is during the day, and you can gain any kind of knowledge from that.
Yeah, and one of those 3 or 4 guys is always going to be Leaker. Let's not forget that. Leaker is the Mr. Miyagi. He has been helping people and giving setups for like a solid year since OFR has been active, and you just don't get that anywhere else. You just don't get it.
Like, I wouldn't have made my way into GT as quick as I would, because I don't know if you remember, but it was a practice session at Suzuka that Leaker was in right there and then, and it was a lucky little bit of intervention that got to him first race, so with Leaker's team. So, yeah.
Yep.
I think with me, I got involved through Astro, because he was involved obviously from the first season. Me and Astro raced in we still do. We got together in a league which was formed during lockdown in the UK because of the COVID-19. It was just a friendly league against people who we've never met. Now out of that, Rod and Pollux is here, and me, Grim, and Harley, we only met through racing during lockdown, and also it's the same with Astro, Martin Bananas, and Oathead River, as he's affectionately known. And by the way, just for anyone who's listened, Oathead River, he's actually called Other Driver, but we just before we went to commentate before Monza, we discovered he didn't like being called Oathead River, so we just went, stuff up, we're just going to call him that, and it winds him up beyond belief. But all of us, we met through racing a friendly league through lockdown, and now we found the 3 of us are actually teammates.
Yeah.
That's
the other
remarkable
thing I like about what we're doing this season and the teaming that we're doing. I enjoy it. I don't know that there's anyone that does not enjoy it. There may be a couple guys out there. But I think the teaming that we've came out with this season has brought a lot of guys together. It almost demands that you kind of help each other out. And it creates that community kind of vibe when you're on a team. You know who's on your team. It's been built. It's not just one guy. You're in a team with divisions 1 through 3. You're in a team of 6, and through those 6 drivers, you've got the ability to almost pass knowledge around, infinitely.
Yeah.
I just have to say at this point, there's a very much non-sung hero for Rod and Pollux Racing, and that's Mick. Mick, who actually has Rod and Pollux. He actually acts as, we call him, the race engineer. He looks out on the stream for us, and he helps us with strategy calls and everything. He's absolutely brilliant, and he doesn't get nearly enough credit that he deserves.
Yeah.
So I think that's deserved.
Yeah, that's another thing that I wanted to say too. Well, 2 things. The first is that we like, our teams are so committed in being a proper team and making sure the team succeeds that you will have drivers watching the stream and race engineering the entire race. And again, I don't ever see that happen. And even when teammates like crash out in a race, they don't just quit and leave the lobby. They stay and help their teammate get through the race and maximize team points and so on, which is absolutely amazing. Don't see that anywhere else. Now, the other thing is that I want to point out is the commentary. I think here we have something great with the commentary. So first, F1. Bob's your uncle has been doing both D3 and D4 for the past 3 or 4 weeks, and he has gone from like being this shy commentator, not being too confident and so on, and he's leading he's got so much energy now, and he's actually making me tune into the races after I've just finished racing in them,
committed,
so I can watch
he?
it. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's grown so much into the commentary box and all the commentators. I mean, I think this league has got more commentators per beta than any other league in F1. I mean, and I love our commentary guys.
Yeah.
Every one of them, Ash included. I mean, Ash is in there, Mick.
Sorry, go on.
They're all great.
Yeah.
They're all great. I mean, they all do a wonderful job.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I have to admit, just on the back of the commentators as well, I watched back the D1 race from Willow Springs, and the amount, and I have to say that about the outside moving to turn 1, I couldn't believe how excited both Robot and yourself were when it was like, wow. It was just like a bomb had went off. That's the best way I can describe it.
That's a normal
It's
F1
just-
race
yeah.
for us.
We're just so
Stroke, you
hyped.
heartless bastard.
Dude, absolutely, like there is no feigned excitement or anything. It is real. It's just so
Yeah.
entertaining. Like there's always so many close battles. There's this big thing going on with Spinorama and Tag. Whenever these two are on track, me and Havoc just lose our minds. Whenever they're close to each other, we're just
Yeah.
like ticking time bombs. Something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen.
We
It's
love
crazy.
it. We love the competitiveness, and we get into it. I mean, it's huge. It's the same as F1 and Division 1. I mean, an exciting part of the race is meant to be exciting, and you have to commentate it that way. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't go into it and be dull or not give the credit due where it is due. I think if you go in the commentary, you kind of have to take on that role and be just as excited as the stuff that you're watching.
Yeah. I just wanna give a quick shout out to Atomic, who seems to have seems to have programmed this Nightbot that's currently in the YouTube chat. So the last
Right.
comment was, Dr. Robot, you are as ineffectual as a dastardly sorry load of pointless, decaying, lesser skunk assholes. How did you? What did you? I don't even. You know what? I don't even want to know.
But before we end, we need to talk about
Yeah,
the
this
question
stream's getting
from
banned.
from the guys in the stream. So we have a question from Castle
Okay.
who says, "Gentlemen, a
Oh,
short
for
view
God's
back to the past. 2 seasons ago, Dr. Robos told us, take a monkey, place him in the sim rig, and he is able to drive the car. 1 season later, Racer Trey told us, I had to start my car like a computer. It's very complicated.
I literally had to start my car like a computer because it's on a computer.
And Havoc said during that race, I don't remember what race. Oh, it was. He pressed the wrong button on the wheel. Question for you both: is OFR driving too complicated with 10 or and more buttons on the wheel? Are you too much under effort or under pressure? Wait. What are your wishes for the future concerning strategy during the races? Less buttons, more, or less and more communication with your teammate engineers?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Hard.
My answer to that
Repeat the
question is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tay got it. The answer is, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. It's from real life, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Sebastian Vettel. That's the Sebastian Vettel question.
Yeah, that was so funny. Oh my god, good one, Castle. Always here to entertain us. Right, guys. So I think we should bring it to an end now. It's been a great first podcast. I hope you guys liked it, and if you all did, make sure you like it, and we'll do it again next week. Thanks to everyone who's in the podcast
Robot.
box with us. Yeah, go ahead.
Clue.
Oh, I've already done it. I've done it already. Yeah, both
You
of
missed
them.
it, but
Ah, sorry, Tay, you missed it, man.
Yeah, sorry about
You
that.
missed
But
it, but-
just
skip the clue and just give us the answer.
I could, but I won't.
Right.
And on that bombshell,
Okay, cool. No, just wondered.
no worries. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. And make sure you tune in for tomorrow's races. We're going to be at Monza and Alsace. How do you say it? Alsace. 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 There we go.
Alsace.
Yeah, let's just go with Alsace Village. It's so much easier. All right. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Random generic track on GT Sport.
That's